about mentorship, then Tina LeBlanc has a nice little presentation that she's put together that will be available to clubs. And then at the end, we plan on allowing about 25 minutes for your questions and answers. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Brandon. Welcome, Brandon.
Thank you, Stan. Thank you, everybody else. Hopefully you can hear me. And if not, well, then we'll figure it out. No? Nada? What happened? What happened?
You're very quiet.
Oh, well, here.
Let's just do it the old-fashioned way then, because these things suck. Hello, everybody.
This is being recorded.
Well, wonderful. My name is Brendan Grace. I am from Lakeline Toastmasters. I have been in Toastmasters roughly about 2 years. I started in August of 2018, and tonight we are going to be talking about mentoring, what it means to a couple of folks, and kind of going over a overview of something that you can take from a mentoring perspective and hopefully bring it to your clubs. And again, because like many things, mentoring is a bit of a smorgasbord. It will not work for all things, will not work for all people. You are obviously more than welcome to take what you're going to learn tonight, mold it, shape it, and also come back to folks that are here with feedback as to how it might be improved. And I'm hoping that there's a lot of great questions, answers, feedback, and a lot of other things as we go on throughout the night. So as Stan said, I'm going to also have some folks introduce themselves, generally in order of who is going to be speaking. So first off, I want to pass it over to Sarah Viles, who is also a local here, and she is going to tell you a little bit about herself, her club, and what she's going to bring to our discussion tonight. So Sarah, you're on board.
Thank you, Brendan. It is such an honor and a joy to join you this evening, Toastmasters. I am excited that District 55 has organized these education packets each Tuesday evening, and it was a complete surprise and delight to be invited. I am also relatively new to Toastmasters, officially beginning in October, just before the world shut down. So did get the benefit of having some great experience with my local club, Equipping Voices, which is in Belverde, Texas. And I took the opportunity at basically the same time that I was starting graduate school at UTSA, understanding that a graduate student needs to teach and learn and speak publicly to individuals. Little did I know that I would have a dynamo in Equipping Voices in a past district leader that you all may know, Linda Oliver. She took me right under her wing, and this was the perfect student's dream come true. As I have walked through the Toastmasters program, it is lockstep with the learning opportunities. And what we are discussing tonight, that mentor is really what, for me, opened the door really wide and let me blast through that much faster. So I hope to bring almost a case study version of my understanding and my experience. And just as Brendan said, I hope it offers you something and maybe gives you some different ideas. So next, I will pass it back to Brendan.
Sure, why not? We're gonna make this up on the fly as we go. Okay, thank you, Sarah. Much appreciated. Next up, you're gonna hear from Miss Tina LeBlanc about basically, we call it mentor in a box, or something that you can take away from this meeting to your club. And I'll have Tina give just a brief introduction of herself.
Before you start, Tina, just help the timer out here a little bit. Are we progressing along this thing, or is this still the introductions portion? Yeah?
We're in introductions right now.
Okay, great.
All right, Tina, it's all you.
Hi, my name is Tina LeBlanc. I am the Division I Director this year. What I am bringing to this panel discussion is I am an industrial and organizational psychologist, and I'm about to complete my MBA. we've all been told how important having a mentorship program is. So I think every one of us here has been told multiple times, you should have a mentorship program. But how do you create one? And I think that's where a lot of people don't know how to take that next step. So what I'm doing for a high performance leadership project is I'm creating what I'm calling a mentorship program in a box. And that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be giving an overview of that when it's my turn to speak. That's what I'm providing, what I'm bringing to this discussion. Thank you. Brendan?
Thank you, Tina. And to have been overseeing all of us, I'm sure he needs no introduction to a lot of folks. It is Mr. Stan C. Stan, just a brief introduction of yourself for the folks who don't know you and what you're going to be bringing tonight.
A brief introduction. Okay. Well, I past district director and past region advisor, but I'm also currently the president of Arthur Storer Toastmasters, and we have a good mentorship program within the club. I also do the higher level, I guess, mentorship that's available through Pathways, and I do mentorship for district leaders. I've done mentoring for members, and I actually have 3 mentors of myself that are both in Toastmasters and external to Toastmasters. So I might, if time allows, I'll talk a little bit more about the more external club mentorship that's available to all of our members as well. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Brendan.
Thank you, Stan. Much appreciated, sir. All right, and just a brief little bit about how mentoring has sort of touched my life. So my mentor here in Lakeline Toastmasters is Bill Carr. He has been a Toastmaster for, he said, I believe 40 years. So spoiler alert, longer than I've been alive. Bill has actually recently helped me in hopefully propelling my career forward here at, where I work at LegalZoom, although I literally work out of a set apartment and not in the building anymore, at least until roughly mid next year. We're all hoping, but again, we'll see. I've been really just happy because he's really been sort of helping me in that focus and really pushing me and really making me a better version of myself. So we're going to get started tonight by me throwing it over again to Sarah Viles, and Sarah is going to walk everybody through basically how she got started along her club's mentoring program and giving sort of a broad overview of what she believes in mentoring and anything else that she wants to say about it. So Sarah, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you again, Brendan. And again, Toastmasters, this is wonderful, but I have something to start with that's going to lead to something later to get you all warmed up. Raise your hand. Do you have a mentor outside of Toastmasters? Someone that might help you in your career, your church? If you could raise your hand if you have a mentor outside of Toastmasters. Perfect. And then keep them raised if you have a mentor inside of Toastmasters. Perfect. I'm seeing a couple more hands. Great. You can put it down. Thank you. I'm going to raise both hands. I do have mentors inside and outside Toastmasters. What is so exciting and the little bit different advantage to being a mentor inside Toastmasters is the support through the TI program. The actual website has a mini module. So if you all haven't found that yet, please, I take this opportunity to say, go looking around on Pathways and find this mini module. It really does encapsulate what's tucked inside of some of the pathways for thinking through what is the role of a mentor, what is the role of a protege, how do you goal set, how do you listen more efficiently. This in a nutshell is what the job of mentorship is. However, when you bring it off of the paper and into life, what does that look like? Well, for me, it meant that Linda Oliver welcomed me the very first night in the club, made sure that I had a booklet which described, they actually host a speechcraft group, which is a whole separate topic, but a speechcraft drew me into my local public library. And I knew the Toastmaster name subtly from a few past exposures, but I did not until that night feel activated. And that really is, for a mentor, that chemistry of activating. When you're seeking to be a mentor, you are that person that is ultimate hospitality for Toastmasters. Or if you think outside the Toastmasters model, think of what drew you to your mentor, or think of what you would want as a protege or a mentee if you were looking for professional development. You already come with the motivation. I walked into that Toastmasters room wanting public speaking, wanting to just try out what I could and learn a few techniques. If you understand that your people are entering with an intent, it's meeting them where they're at. It's being a welcoming host. And Linda, like I said, she is a little firecracker. She would not give me a moment to just say, okay. And the all counter to start going into it. Break through that ice if you read that in the individual, because remember, they're coming seeking. If you listen and you can be the mentor that can put one goal right in front of where they've arrived, that's the inspiration. That's where the train starts rolling. Now the beauty of the mentorship with Linda, she realized, she saw, not only was I progressing through pathways and learning public speaking, I needed the other piece that Toastmasters is so skillful at creating in these pathway programs, and that's leadership. And she pulled me aside when it was a few weeks before election time and said, Sarah, we can support you in being the president of the club. And I thought, imposter syndrome, hello. But remember, as the mentor, you're seeing the future with that mentee because you know that they've already come inspired and want to enjoy it. Be the host and then let them express pass. Your goal should be that your mentor will just jet right through. So that's what it looked like in case study style. I'll pass the floor back over to Brendan for the next step.
Thank you, Sarah. Much appreciated. And I'm excited to see what you're going to share tonight with other folks as they give us some questions. So well done. All right, next up, this is going to be the note-taking session of our meeting, where hopefully Tina is going to give you a lot of amazing not only resources and tools. I know a couple of them. I think she is. She's going to do just fine. This is also where you can hopefully draw some inspiration for those questions that you're going to have for us. So, Tina, what in the world is mentoring in a box?
Thank you, Brendan. As I said during my introduction, I am an industrial organizational psychologist and I'm about to graduate with my MBA. I love systems. I love developing systems. Not everybody loves developing systems, but I consider that what I do in my free time. Once you have a system developed, then it's easy to continue to use it over and over and over again. But it takes a lot of energy and a lot of work up front to develop that system. One of the things that I want to do, or I am actually in the process of doing, is developing what I'm calling a mentorship program in a box. I'm going to share my screen with everyone. Okay, let's see. Okay, starting a mentorship program. As I mentioned in the intro, Toastmasters tells us that each club should have a mentorship program. we know that. We know the benefits of the mentorship program. We'll probably talk about some more of those during the question and answer session. But I think where people have a hard time, where they get stumped, is actually creating the mentorship program. So that basically is just saying what I said. How do we actually set it up? Well, I want to create a set of templates, something that I'm calling a mentor program in a box. What I'm doing is I'm updating. There was a document created in 2010. It's called When You're a Mentor. It was written by Emmy Bauer as part of that high performance leadership project. However, that was a long time ago. That was 10 years ago. Toastmasters has changed quite a bit since then. A new program, and there's new research out on being a mentor. I want to update this manual as part of my mentorship program in a box. What is it? What was it going to consist of? Well, it's going to consist of instructions on how to create this program and a set of templates. It will probably be on Google Docs such that you can go through, answer a lot of questions, or answer the questions, and when you're done, you will have a mentorship program. It'll consist of 2 manuals. One manual will be for the mentor, which I'm kind of liking into a teacher's guide. You know, when you were in school, you had the teacher's guide and then you had a student guide. And the teacher's guide, it had a lot of extra material. Not only did it have the material that was in the student's guide, but it also had the material telling about how to teach. So in the mentor guide, it'll have a lot of material about how to be a good mentor, why mentoring is important, the types of traits or the types of activities that one should do. As part of the guide for the mentee, it will include an onboarding guide, because I think that's one of the most important parts of being a mentor. You have a brand new person who is part of a club. They don't necessarily know how your club works. Each club works a little bit differently. And so this type of thing will have as a written document that they can probably print out, have information about how to interact as part of your club. I personally have had a bad experience where I was new to an organization and I felt that everything was happening too quickly. I wasn't sure how to interact with the organization. I ended up quitting the organization because it wasn't fun for me. I want to solve that problem for new Toastmasters. It'll answer questions, or as you're creating your program, we'll have questions such as how to form the mentoring committee, what types of decisions you should be making about your mentor program, how to define the expectations of both the mentors and the mentees, those types of questions. So creating a mentorship program, what's in it for you? Well, there's always fame and glory. If you're a VPE, then it's part of your role to create one. You can use it to fulfill Pathways projects. If your club doesn't already have a mentorship project, then I say take that on, and that can be one of your level 4 or level 5 projects in Pathways. And most importantly, it's a living document. You do it once and you keep it updated, and you can use it year after year after year. So you're not putting in a whole bunch of work each year. You're putting in a lot of work once, and then once you have it, then you can use it. The people who come after you can continue to use it. That adds to what your club is able to offer. Let me unshare. So that's what I think will provide value to people. How to actually do this mentorship program. I think that sometimes people are in a situation and they're like, yeah, I know it's a great idea, Tina, but how do I start? Well, this will be step 1, step 2, step 3. I've done the same thing with a PR calendar. I've always known that having a PR calendar is important. I mean, Toastmasters tells me it's important. I can see the value, but I never knew how to create one. So I've created one and I've shared it out to folks saying, okay, here's how you should create a PR calendar. Now I want to do the same thing with our mentorship program. And I am happy to send people information on it as we go on, but that's the overview. That's the 20,000 foot view, the executive overview. Back to you, Brendan.
Thank you, Tina. All right. So now with us being in the Q&A portion, what I'm going to have folks do is if you would message me your questions and who you would like to have answered said question, then I will facilitate those and we'll see how many we can get to. So send those away. I probably should have mentioned that beforehand. Sorry. We'll send those away. And then I'm going to start with one so that, which is right here. All right, Roxanne asks, we have a small club who recently had a boom in membership, AKA more new members than seasoned members. What is the best way to deal with this? Stan, would you like to take that one, sir?
Absolutely. And this kind of goes along with what Tina was talking about. For Arthur's Store, one of the things that we're doing, I've encouraged each of the club officers to do is to create a committee in themselves. So for example, speaking to a point, our Vice President of Education has a committee and each one member of her committee has a dedicated role. So we have someone that's going to be focused on just doing mentors. And so she can make sure that one, first find out obviously, and you can ask the questions at the beginning of the year or throughout the year, finding out, do you have a list already? Do you know which members already have mentors as far as experienced members? And maybe they can turn around and start mentoring the new ones that come in as well as the experienced ones. And this is an opportunity for even to team up with other club that has experienced members and might be looking for mentorship opportunities. So you're not necessarily for new members. You definitely, because your club is unique and has its own specific climate as to how they do things. But in terms of identifying mentors, you also might want to look at outside of the club and look at other clubs that you feel has a good mentorship program and invite some of those members and check to see. And that gets you as a club too a good opportunity to shadow or to work with mutual clubs, or even use your area director and your area councils to identify members within the area that might be willing to help out with your influx of new members. And congratulations, by the way, with the influx. What an interesting challenge.
Thank you.
Roxanne, yeah, hopefully that gave you a good answer. Sarah looks like she's going to want to say something. So Sarah, you go ahead.
Yes. Can I build on that too? Absolutely, Stan. And congratulations, Roxanne. That is a wonderful problem to have that I definitely am excited for you. Also, that did happen in our club, and we really only had 4 seasoned leaders at that point. Maybe don't overlook the synergy that happens in some of your new club members. I actually have an individual that I call like my buddy, my battle buddy, to be honest, because she's prior military and I was a GI kid. Our synergy created this natural peer-to-peer experience. So when Linda would address one, we would share with each other. We were side-to-side mentoring, so you can leverage one experienced person with 2, possibly even 3, if they share some affinity with each other. So listen to them and see if they've got kind of these natural bonds. That might help.
Thank you, Sarah.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, this actually is for Tina. These are kind of combining two questions into one. Tina, folks want to know when you can expect the project to be available. Your mentoring in a box.
I plan to have the entire thing completed by December. I am shooting for having it earlier, but I know that it'll be 100% completed by December, and I am happy to send it out.
Awesome.
I think it'll be a really useful tool. I really, truly do. I can't tell you how excited and stoked I am about it.
All right. You actually do have a couple other questions here, so I'm going to go over this next one with you. Lisa Troggett asks, what onboarding things should we cover with new members?
I personally feel there's a lot of things. So I am in multiple clubs. I'm in quite a few clubs, and I know that each club does stuff differently. So for instance, I'm in Laughing Matters, and Laughing Matters is different than a lot of the other clubs. We have different roles. There are different expectations. So I think some of the onboarding things that you would want to cover are those expectations. I don't like being in a situation where I don't know what behavior is expected of me. I like to kind of know things. If I'm a Toastmaster, then I would like to have here's my guide to being a Toastmaster. I think people will be more likely to step up and be productive members of a club if they have the roles defined, the guides on how to be a Toastmaster. How to be a Toastmaster in Laughing Matters is different than how to be a Toastmaster at Master Speakers in Austin, another one of my clubs.
Brendan?
Things that I would recommend.
Brendan?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to just take team real quickly on that because this was a question that we got from an email from someone.
Okay.
When you're matching someone up, shockingly, in some clubs, there are members who do not like pathways. I know it's surprising. I know it's a shock. You do obviously and hopefully you will never match one of these members who do not like pathways, who even to a point maybe refuse to do pathways, with a new member coming into the club. Every member that comes in the club, especially if this person is going to be working with them related to the Pathways program, first and foremost, that person has to have been in Pathways himself. The mentor has to have been into Pathways himself, and so they have at least some experience before you want to have them working with a new member who is going to have to learn about Pathways. So I'll just throw that out there. If you don't like Pathways, please, they might be able to help other ways, but they're not the best match for a new member.
Sarah, what's up?
And Stan, I'd like to build on that because actually I had this beautiful moment in my club with a very seasoned Toastmaster that actually, I mean, I can say reverse mentorship, but that's not exactly the story. I think as people, we need to remember we're people first. You know, we are Toastmasters, but people first. And the vulnerability that it takes to get up in front of an audience, that's one thing. But to sit and absorb a brand new teaching method, that can be a whole new fear for an individual. That can be a learning curve. And if you've got younger or more tech savvy or just people who really adapt to being on the TI website, they can be mentors on that topic. It doesn't mean that they have the teaching experience, but we've also got the leadership track, and to be able to lead and coach people in technologies and processes that are maybe just like a little bit uncomfortable, that, you know, those are mentors as well.
And actually, I'm going to build on something now that I see Jeff commented earlier, and actually ask everybody a question, because this will so hopefully tie in nicely. How many of us honestly have filled out a member interest survey in the past year or two? Now, I can say that because I basically forced my club into it as our secretary, but doing those sorts of things, polling members, can really bring out what they want out of Toastmasters. We found people in our club who shockingly were like, yes, I want to help. And if the officer club and the officer corps, you would have polled them, including me, but we would have said that I didn't think those people wanted to help. So I think by honestly just having an open discussion, like you would with any mentor, just reaching out to someone and saying, hey, do you want to help in this aspect? Whether they be a brand new member or a member that's been there for, pick your number of years for that person you have in mind. They may turn out to be one of the best mentors for someone. So never be afraid to ask. We are in the business of learning how to communicate and ask people questions and talk about things. So really give that a try. Okay, here.
Good gouge. And we've done those. We've filled out the forms. We've asked. We've got good feedback. People interested in, and they think the mentor program is a great idea. Just when the rubber comes to meeting the road, oops. And that's where I'm at right now, trying to figure out how best to pick people up out of their comfort zone and get them to take that next step. Yes, it's a great idea, but ideas are nothing if we don't act on them. So that's kind of where we are. Thanks.
I had the VPE actually, she did a mentorship program, and then she assigned everyone. She assigned, and she just matched people up and assigned them, and she didn't necessarily give people too much of a choice. And I know that sounds not great, but sometimes we just need to be assigned to things. If I have to volunteer for something, I might do it, I might not. But when I get an email from the VPE of my club that says, Tina, you're going to mentor a new member, I'm likely to say, yes, I'll mentor a new member. But if someone comes and says, I need a mentor, I'm not necessarily gonna raise my hand. It's like somebody call 911. That doesn't work. You, Kathy, call 911. Kathy's gonna call 911. It's kind of like that. You can also find out what, as mentors, they want out of the program and make sure that the mentorship program provides enough positive reinforcement for the mentors themselves.
It's so funny that you say that.
Ask that we keep the speaking. Jeff, if you have a comment, I would request that you use the chat so that everybody, like everybody else is doing, and that way we can just kind of maintain control, because we don't want everybody to start just jumping in. So if you would make your comments and put them in chat, it would really be appreciated. Thank you.
All right. Well, actually, funnily enough, Michelle's question to me may springboard off of this. So Michelle asked, do you suggest that a mentee pick the person they wish to be their mentor? We have someone who's a DTM in her club who's a great mentor, but a lot of folks are asking for them specifically. So I will open it up to any one of our panel folks if they have any suggestions as to if they want to comment.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Basically, Michelle is asking that there is a singular person in her club who everybody picks to be a mentor. And she's afraid essentially that they're going to be just bombarded with proteges and mentees. How does she find mentors in the rough, people who would be willing to mentor in her club?
Well, or that's, I mean, great. It's an opportunity for that person, that DTM, who everybody is wanting, to actually create a mentorship team. And she can take the lead of that team and help. And she, as the leader, she can help field the questions and everything else. But that way, they have the confidence that she's providing the input, as well as she's training and helping others, learning how to be effective mentors. And everybody else is learning, those who are looking for her for leadership or for mentorship, they're learning that they can look to other members besides just her to help them.
All right, great. Michelle, hopefully that answers your question. Awesome, thank you. Wonderful. Anybody else with any other questions? Or else I am gonna start asking some questions. All right, well, I will give some folks some time to ask some questions here in chat while I ask Tina a question. Tina, what is the most recent thing that a mentor has taught you that you found to be interesting or surprising?
Surprising or interesting? I'm going to say useful. One of the most useful things is to be flexible. Sometimes I will have a predetermined idea in my head the way that something should look. But really, there's a lot of different ways to get to the same outcome, and not being flexible, being rigid in my thinking can sometimes hold me back. And so a mentor has reminded me that there's different ways of getting to the same place. Be flexible, be open to opportunities, look for doors. Don't just wait for the doors to smack you in the face. Actually start looking, actively looking for doors. And it might look different than what you think it's going to look, but it's still a way to get to the same spot.
Great. Well, actually, that's something that when my mentor Bill Carr and I sat down here recently, he told me that not only look for a mentor in just Toastmasters, make sure you have a career mentor, a life mentor, and also start with one goal, one very small goal. Don't make it something so earth-shatteringly large that it's gonna be not really defined. To make it one real specific thing. And then once you go from there, you build on it. Then you build the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. All right. Miss Pam Davis asks, should the mentor also teach the mentee about using the club's website and or social media? I am going to give that one to Sarah.
Thank you, Pam. Great question. I am going to say that's custom based on your club and your mentor and your protege. I think first and foremost, as a mentor, listening to what your protege asks for to make sure that their personal goals in Toastmasters are starting to get addressed. And then just that process that I was describing about trying to put a little bit of their future in front of them. I think you're identifying something that is super helpful and super useful, that if you can keep the information just in front of where their experience and where they're looking here and you're looking up here with them. So that may be the opportunity where you're teaching them, say your club uses Easy Speak or is really into Instagram or Facebook. Those are perfect things to launch just in front of where they're looking, because they might be in their personal goals, and then you can start stretching them into those next experiences. So I love that idea. Thank you, Pam.
And I would, so for me personally, at Lakeland Toastmasters, we had a onboarding meeting, essentially, when a bunch of new members entered the club, that the VPE would run basically a kind of long list of, here's the club website, here's Toastmasters International, and we can, you know, in that meeting, we could have touched on any of those options that we wanted. So again, that's how we did it. But again, it is a club by club basis. Maura Weiss asks, any tips for keeping mentors and mentees accountable, and how long do people recommend that a mentorship program lasts? I'm going to start with Stan on that one, and then I may ask some other folks. So one more time, Stan. Any tips for keeping mentors / mentees accountable, and how long would you recommend a mentorship program lasts?
Well, as far as how long as long as they need to, as long as both members agree to meet with each other, to visit each other. Again, mentorship isn't like a club coach where once you achieve a certain goal, you're done, but mentorship can last for years. two of my mentors. Met them, one of them 10 years ago, and he's still my mentor in terms of just leadership, and it's evolved. The different things that he's helped me with as a mentor has evolved over as my life changes, and I've helped him at times. So in terms of how long, it's really up to the two people involved in the relationship. In terms of, and what was the other part?
Just in terms of accountability as well. How would you recommend that a club or the mentors and mentee themselves keep each other accountable?
That's part of the discussion up front. You ask the person, again, if there's a specific goal that they're looking to achieve, and is there a particular time frame that they want to achieve that goal? And so you're working that out together, that you're establishing those milestones, and you're checking in to say, okay, and how often are you going to meet? Are you going to meet once a month? Are you going to meet twice a month? Are you going to meet quarterly? And each time, part of your agreement is you're going to review where that particular person is on their milestones, on their goals.
All right. Tina, any thoughts as well?
Yeah, my thoughts are closely aligned with Stan's. I think having a list of expectations, so knowing both the mentor and the mentee, knowing what the expectations are, I think makes a big difference. A lot of times we think we know what the expectations are, but we don't. And so one party gets upset that somebody hasn't met the expectations, but they were never clearly defined in the beginning. And I think that is part, defining those expectations and revisiting them, as Stan said. Revisiting them is important because things change, expectations change, the whole, the goals change. So making sure that you stay up to date on those.
All right, great. Thank you, Tina. All right, this is sort of a quick one that everybody on the panel can answer. How many of us have a Pathways training program for all new members? So the mentor doesn't need to spend as much time on that. You can focus on other things. And that is from Michelle again. And I'm also going to add, Michelle, a comment that I believe that we talked privately when we first met a bunch of the folks on the panel, was that you can always try to find somebody in the club if they're interested in helping, and maybe that is their passion, is maybe they really want to help people in just Pathways. Maybe they're hoping to be like a VPE one day, or maybe they're kind of interested in that role. You can have maybe the VPE and them talk and have them learn it, and then they can be the go-to person in your club for that one specific topic. So that, number one, it takes a burden off of the VPE, and number two, that person who is teaching the folks Pathways gets a start on the VPE role, just in case they ever decide to come back around. Okay. Let's just do, all right, I see a question that Andrew wants to ask. Andrew, go ahead.
Hello, not more of a question, just a kind of an explanation of the current mentoring program I'm in. By the way, I'm Andrew Gonzalez. I'm with the TSAE Toastmasters group, and I apologize for being late to the meeting. The mentorship program that I'm a part of right now is through RECA, the Real Estate Council of Austin, and specifically with the Leadership Development Council. And there's a group of 15 selected out of about 150 applicants. And the mentor part, when we got selected, it was a one-page questionnaire, only about 12 questions, not too much, but it covered personal activities, hobbies, career goals, mentor goals. Who were we looking for in a mentor? Did we want somebody who is an executive level? Did we want somebody who is more of an admin level? What were you wanting from the mentor? Did you want to meet in person more often than on the phone or over emails? It kind of dug into what we wanted as far as a mentor. And then I found out there was a mentor pool that we were matched up with. So there's only 15 of us in the class, but there's a mentor pool of 75 people. So it was a match progress, and I ended up getting matched with a gentleman who fit what I wanted very well. I wanted a high level executive who had 30 plus years in the real estate industry in Austin, more so targeted on the construction side. And it's been working out well so far. COVID is a different situation because we're not able to meet in person. So a lot of the stuff has been over phone or Zoom or emails, or else from January to now, we would have already had probably close to 20 meetings together alone. But that's just my insight on how our program is working. I know everybody's is different. I didn't even know there's a comedy club in Toastmasters. That's cool. I want to go to that one. But that's all I had. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Andrew. That is going to sort of wrap up the Q&A. I'm just going to leave folks with a thought, and then maybe I'll pass it back to Stan and everybody else, and hopefully they'll have some sort of closing thoughts. The one thing I would say about mentoring that I have learned in just my short time is that, number one, you got to express what you want out of the mentor. If you don't have a goal for them and you don't have a goal for yourself, then you're not going to have the benefit, the impact, and the drive that you're looking for, because then both of you can see what you're going for. And as you achieve things, and especially this is very personal to me, as I see things being achieved and worked on, I know that I'm doing a good job and I'm not really waffling back and forth. So I would say, if I would leave folks with one thing, would be to really have a clear goal and have a clear thought as to what you want to get out of being either mentor or mentee. Stan, any kind of quick closing thoughts?
Yeah, a couple of things. So first of all, related to the pathway-specific assistance, I want to make sure that everybody's aware that besides what's available for Pathways assistance in the club, there is a Pathways group. I believe Erica Lockwood is the chair of it. And so you can contact, I believe her contact information is on the district website, Kathy, or, okay, yes. So these folks are much more aware or trained and knowledgeable about some of the more intricate parts, or even base camp manager role and some of these others. And there's a whole plethora of videos available on the district website as well as the TI website. So particularly for newer clubs, or if you have a lot of newer members and you're not as experienced in Pathways yourself because you just wrapped up the legacy program, don't be afraid. And that's part of the mentorship aspect, is find out who you can help bring in to help some of your newer members who might be struggling with Pathways and their questions are over your head. They're beyond your knowledge. And so don't be afraid to asking for help from Erica's team or others with that. The other thing I want to mention is, I don't know, we use, for Ultra Store, we use Easy Speak, and that's a tracking spreadsheet software. And within Easy Speak, there's a means of identifying who is mentor and who's a protege or mentee. If you don't use Easy Speak for your club, that's fine. You can use Excel spreadsheets, but it is important. It's important for you to know, again, for this year as well as for passing on to your next team, so everybody kind of knows that this person does have a mentor and who that person is. I would encourage you that when you have a question for that member, maybe a newer member or a member quits coming to the meeting, and use your mentor. Ask the mentor to find out, what's going on. Do you know, maybe the mentor knows that they're struggling with school at the time and they just need to take a few meetings off. So make sure you keep the mentor in the loop. So that's we're having that list of knowing who the mentors are is really helpful, because a lot of times, rather than going right to the member, the mentor can help you and provide you with that great information. And then finally, I just want to mention that in level 2 with Pathways, there's that introduction to the Pathways Mentorship Events Program. And I know many members, they just kind of like do it because they have to, and then they move on. It's powerful. Being a mentor is a very powerful opportunity, and that's where you can expand your horizons. If you do that program and become an advanced mentor, there's no limitations as to who you might mentor. It doesn't have to be within your club. It doesn't have to be even within our district. It could be someone else in an entire different district in a different part of the world. And so I would encourage everybody to not just do the introduction and leave it go, but especially if you're an experienced Toastmaster, I would encourage everybody to become an advanced mentor as well. And that's my closing comments at this point.
Thank you, Stan. Sarah, any closing thoughts? Anything really stick out to you?
Sure, Stan, that is a great point. And actually, yes, you kind of preview. I love it when the end of the speech gives a little hook. I have had a wonderful opportunity mentoring an individual in Turkey and another in Nigeria. Toastmasters is TI, Toastmasters International. This sky is the limit. We, as Toastmasters here locally in Texas, might kind of look down ourselves, but is there that chance to have someone help you get that vision in front of yourself and advance your professional ability to mentor and to go into some learning spaces? We are all students. And my mentor says Toastmasters is a safe place to fall on your face. It gives me permission to learn. So I'll pass it over to Tina.
As far as closing comments go, I think that mentor, it's a big box, and there's a lot of different things in it. There's a lot of different types of mentors. And I find it very useful to have specific mentors for different things that I want to do. And with regard to the mentorship in a box, I think it's important to know what the mentors and the mentees and the mentors want to get out of it. So that's important to define, because as Jeff said, it's sometimes difficult to find people who want to be mentors. I think you can find them, but you need to know what they want to get out of the program, and if you can, provide that to them. Brendan, Stan?
Awesome. Thanks, Tina. All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. I don't really have anything else as far as closing thoughts, unless anybody else wants to say anything. Stan?
Well, I was going to ask our program quality director, Miss Kathy. First of all, thank you, Kathy, for letting us do this session tonight. Mentorship is such a powerful program, but I just wanted to see if she had any thoughts herself on mentorship or any additional comments from the district perspective.
I would love to see Andrew's idea that he gave us from real estate, because we can always get good ideas from other organizations that are doing it well. I would love to see us have a mentor pool, and like Tina said, she's great at systems. She could put it together on the website where people could get matched up. I'm sure between Tina and Vishal, they could figure out how to automate this. Looks like that's going, because I know there's people on this call that are in clubs where there's a lot of new members and not enough mentors, or like in the case of a couple of clubs I am a member of with Miss Betty Puckett, who knows everything, that we have a lot of people who can mentor, but we don't have anybody to mentee. We in top-notch trainers, we're dynamite, but we don't have any really new members. So We would love to get out there and help other people. This is a great start. I'm so glad you guys did this. I love that we're getting it off the ground because mentoring is something that's near and dear to my heart. So thank you very much to Stan and Tina and Brendan and Sarah, who I did not know before. Thank you so much for doing this for us.
And this is just the beginning, folks. We're still available. Mentoring is not just a one-shot time deal for us, for the district. It's available throughout the year. So feel free to reach out to me and I'll engage the committee, as well as if you're interested. I know I got a couple emails from a couple others that were interested in being more involved in mentoring perspective from a district level. So send me an email, and my contact information is on the website. You may have received it from Kathy as well. But mentorship is really a lifelong experience in many ways. So I appreciate you guys coming and spending an hour with us. Thank you.
Hey, Stan, can I take a minute to do some advertising plugs for some upcoming events?
Sure.
So Jason Wald is incognito down there in the corner. If we have any new officers, and I know Paul Montoya is on here with us, I recommended that he come to this class. Jason is teaching a class. It's really designed for beginners at 8:30, and it's the DCP and you. It's very hands-on for people to really understand how to make their club successful through the DCP program. He's part of a very successful platinum club with Betty Puckett. If you want to learn how to bring members in, you just need to talk to Betty for a few minutes. But also I want to give a kudos to somebody that little does he know, I've been trying to mentor him. Mr. Paul Montoya will be helping us with a special event on December the 8th. We are going to be live streaming a district Christmas or holiday party. And Paul knows how to live stream. I'm a member of his club down in Corpus. It's a great group of people. If you want to learn some new technologies, come down to Corpus virtually and learn from these guys. They really have a lot of cool ideas, but we've got a lot of cool upcoming stuff. Betty's going to help teach contest training the first week of November, the day before Election Day. We had to change it to a Monday. But if you go to tmd55.org and click on Continuing Education, you can see the whole calendar up through December the 8th. And we're already getting requests to line up classes in January. So join us. We got a lot of good stuff. If you miss a class, if you go to the resources page, we have a lot of the classes recorded and you can see some awesome classes. So please do check it out. We got a lot of great training for you. Okay, that's really it, Stan.
Thank you, Jeff. By the way, I know that our timing was probably fairly erratic, so as a timer, it was a challenge for you, but I appreciate you stepping up and being a timer for us. And do you have any comments yourself?
My pleasure. Everybody was on time, within range, and we got less than a minute here to finish. You're going to finish everything on time. Way to go. It's great to see everybody.
And that's it, folks. Get ready for the next great session coming up.
Enjoy the trips to your couches. Travel safe.
Thanks, Jeff. I knew you could manage this bunch. I realize now, since my computer, this is on my desktop and the lighting is different, I'm going to have to go get a standing lamp or a clip-on lamp and put it up here so I have more lighting. because I learned that from Mike Carr from his class.
I actually have a little tiny ring light.
Yeah, see, that's what he talked about. I guess I need to order some ring lights.
It was like $20, and without it,
Yeah. So where do you set it up and how do you set it up?
I just have it plugged into my laptop. It's USB.
But where
So-
where do you sit? I mean, I'm like, you haven't been to my house, Betty has, and Jeff.
Just have it. I'm sitting at a desk. I have my laptop on a cardboard box to kind of bring it up a little bit, and then I have the ring light. I just have it sitting right next to my laptop where it's shining on my face to give it a little brightness.
I'm probably gonna have to get a clip-on light. I used to have one, and I think I got rid of it.
So if
Put
you're
on my curtain, because I don't have any like right now I have an extra monitor from Jason that because I have to move all my old files from my old computer to my new one that he helped me set up. And then I have another rolling desk that my laptop is on, and literally, like, I don't have any. If you saw my office, they know because they've been here. But it's like this little tiny space where everything happens in my house.
Build you some cubbies, some little cubes that you can put everything in.
Haven't you ever seen? I have cubes. I'm not gonna take my art off the wall. That's not gonna happen. Anyway, so it started. What did you guys think? I thought it started kind of slow, Tina, but then it picked up good.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure. With regard to my session, I did it for the TLI. I did an entire hour of talking about some of the different questions you would ask, and I went through a lot more detail. But in this case, I only had 10 minutes, and 5 to 10 minutes, and so I wanted
You
to.
should have been the mainliner, in my opinion.
Well, that's what Stan said, and then Brendan just kept.
And Brendan needs to be mentored by somebody that knows what they're doing, in my opinion. I have 3 pages of notes for Stan, okay? And that is one of the topics. But
you came in at 7 minutes, by the way, so.
I came in at 7 minutes?
Right on the money. So you could
he's in Wafa's club, so he's probably gotten some bad advice. You're muted, Betty. We can't hear your words of wisdom.
Still muted, Mom.
Can't teach an old dog new tricks, okay? An old flamingo.
That's right. I love your background, Betty.
Are you guys gonna go to Jason's meeting? I know you've heard him do this one 100 times.
Yeah, I invited a bunch of people from my other clubs too, or actually.
Your people from your other clubs are the ones who need to be at the meeting.
Yep.
But we didn't have very many signed up. I hope they register at the last minute.
Well, yeah. You're still muted, Mom. Unmute.
Well, thanks for doing that, Tina. You're the one with the experience out of the bunch besides Stan, and you're the one that's organized. You're the one that's gonna have to corral them.
Yeah, I think, I don't know who was part of the panel versus.
It was the ones that were talking. It was you.
No. I mean, like Sarah indicated that she didn't necessarily want to be part of the committee. She was interested in being on this panel, but as far as continuing further, she said she only had time for one.
Oh no, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, you mean
every half an hour.
No, I didn't.
Well, I think Andrew Gonzalez would help.
I actually got his email.
Yeah, I'm talking now, can't you?
It's a stand. So, agreed, and he was fantastic. I really liked him a lot.
Trying to talk.
And he had a good
I kept saying,
idea.
you're muted, unmute, Betty.
I know Michelle would love to help, but she's still working COVID. But she had recommended somebody from what used to be Zachary, 210 Toasties, and Stan never said. He just told me he didn't need any more
Oh,
Team
I would
members. I don't know if he meant panelists or team members, but she's actually run a successful mentoring program in a club. So
I'd way rather her unmet rather than Brendan.
but I know her. She knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I have to
I think the
copy
thing
this.
about him is that he will learn from you guys, from you and Stan. Hopefully, if he's open.
You're a good person, Kathy. Way better than
I've seen it happen.
I'm like, out of here.
The uhs and the ums are what got me.
Did you
What,
guys
Betty?
pick out which one of these flamingos you were?
I am, there's one that's kind of whitish. It's,
That one right there? Can you see me
yeah,
pointing?
I'm that one. I'm almost pink, but I haven't eaten enough shrimp, so I'm still whitish.
I'm the one sitting on your right shoulder, Betty.
Okay. I have a meeting with Ryan O'Connor at
Oh, good.
2030.
Does he know that? Is it about the volunteer stuff? Does he know that Melody did budget and is ordering that program?
Right. He made me an account on the trial one, and I've taken a look at it. And so,
I'm so excited.
yeah, I think it's me, Stephen Hall, John Newell, and maybe somebody else.
Excellent. That's fantastic.
The team. But so I told him I'm happy to do like computer stuff, but I don't want to talk to people.
But the program that she said she was budgeting for was the one where members can upload their own volunteer hours.
Right.
So even though we're getting started later in the year, people can still go back and get credit for doing TLIs and contests, but TLIs. And have we had anything else? These classes. I would give people credit for teaching or Zoom hosting or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Hey, Brian and I talked about doing the TLI. Anyone who helped with the TLI or presented with the TLI would be the first people in.
And hopefully the division directors will have that whole list. I mean, I have a lot of it on the master list.
Yeah,
anyway,
I was on the master list. Yeah, I need to get home so I can do it here. I mean, do it at home instead of here. But it was good to see y'all, and I'm glad that it worked out okay. I was worried that you'd be displeased with.
I'm ready to go back to the spa.
Guess what? I had to go yesterday because I had a crick in my shoulder from sleeping funny, and I got an hour-long massage.
Nice. I want to do the salt cave again. That was my favorite part. Was
just plan on doing it once a quarter at least.
Yeah.
Okay, bye, bud. I'm hanging up now, Betty. Because I gotta get a break before Jason's class. Bye.